short video, I'll be talking about the new weapon banner for version 3.3 Phase 1. So on the weapon banner, we'll be getting Tulaytullah's Remembrance, which is Wanderer or Scaramouche's debut signature weapon, and we'll be getting a rerun of the Redhorn Stonethresher, which is the signature weapon for Arataki Itto for Phase 1. Okay, so let's just quickly talk about those, and then we'll briefly wrap up the 4 stars as well. So on the screen, we're just going to have Hazel as the placeholder, but yeah, obviously it's not released yet, so I don't have it, but Tulaytullah's Remembrance, I'm not going to read the card information, but basically, it's going to be his signature. But what can you do in place of that? Well, if you have, like myself, if you have a Lost Prayers, I think this is a great option for him because he'll be an on-field DPS, and this is a perfect signature, a standard weapon that you can use as well in place if you don't have the Tulaytullah and you're not pulling on that weapon banner. Another option would be the Widsith, which is okay as well. It's not going to be the greatest for him, but it's going to be not bad as well. It's a great placeholder weapon, or at least a stat stick, and at least he can utilize the 3 possible options in the passive. Albeit though the Elemental Mastery may or may not be as useful for him because he's not going to be like the other animal characters where he swirls and does all that kind of stuff, but he can probably have some minor swirling involved as well, so it's okay, right? And as you see, I mean, I have it on my Hazel as well, and if I am lucky enough to win the 50-50 and get Scaramouche or Wanderer, I will just take this Widsith from my Hazel on the screen here and just give it to him because I'm not going to pull for this weapon banner. Yeah, so that's what I'm planning to do at least, right? And then, yeah, Solar Pearl is going to be a great option. So any of the crit rate or crit damage weapons should be options for you. And if you have none of those, then for sure a Black Cliff from the Paimon shop. But Paimon shop resets every other month, right? Where it's Black Cliff and then the Royal series. So this is a good stat stick placeholder. Okay. Of course, the passive is not necessarily sustainable because you'd have to kill multiple enemies to make sure that you have it. So when you're facing single enemy, you may not get it. But at least it's a good stat stick nonetheless. Okay, and then after you move away from the crit weapons, then of course attack weapons would be the next best thing for him. So not many players will still have this because if you're newer, you won't have this at all. This is a Dodoko Tales. This is from Klee's Summer Island Adventure from the first from the version 1.6, I believe. So this one, not many people will have it, but this is like basically a weaker version of Lost Prayers, in my opinion, or how to term it, or maybe this is a weaker version of Solar Pearl, basically. Yeah, so I would just say, but it has an attack percentage stat stick for it. And then if you don't have that, another attack option is craftable, the Frostbearer. Now this is not 100% like applicable to I guess, Wanderer in this case, but it's something that you can use as a placeholder in the meantime, right? And then, of course, failing having any of those options, if you are someone from the version 2. Series, I forget which 2 point something patch we got this in, but this was from the Chasm, I believe, from Yelan's patch way back. So this is another event weapon. So if you're newer, you won't have this, but this is okay too because it has attack at least for the substat. The energy passive is okay because at least then you can get more energy back for your Wanderer. I keep saying Hazel because he's on the screen. Wanderer, so that he can then proc his burst possibly more often. So there's that too. And then of course, last but not least, you'll have obviously your energy recharge options. This is craftable. I'm not going to go into all of them, but you'll have these other options like elemental mastery options. You'll have all these other options too, but those are definitely placeholders that you want to get off of ASAP. So yeah, separately I'm going to go into more depth for the weapons options, but basically, the Tulaytullah is going to be an amazing weapon, but you're maybe at risk of getting other weapons that you don't want. Now, let's just quickly talk about the Redhorn Stonethresher. I don't have it either, but it's definitely a niche weapon for sure because it has a defense substat, I recall, and it's definitely really cool and awesome looking. I wouldn't mind getting one for Arataki Itto, but I don't even use my Arataki Itto that much. I unfortunately have this Unforged, and Unforged is more rerun more commonly, and it's not horrible. It works in this case for him and the passive, right? So if you have something else that you can just give to your Itto, if you're getting Itto or you have Itto, I would just recommend giving that to him instead of going for his specific weapon. Unless you really love your Itto, then maybe you can go for it, right? So I'm skipping that weapon banner, but yeah, I've talked about the Redhorn way before too as well, but on other videos. But yeah, it's not like a must-have. Definitely it boosts his defense and therefore it boosts his kit because he scales off of defense. But yeah, it's not like a must-have. Other options, just quickly, other than the Enforged, you can easily give him any of these weapons, like Song of Broken Pines, Wolf's Gravestone. If you have a Skyward Pride, that's okay too, because then it gives him more energy. Like, it's not, like, horrible, right? If you want to make him pure DPS, like a Serpent Spine from the Battle Pass is okay, right? Some of these other attack-focused weapons, I'm not going to go through all of them, of course, but some of these other weapons are okay too. Like, Akuamaru could be cool for him if you want to focus on him as a burst DPS. From the Paimon Shop, Blackcliff is okay. Craftables, Prototype is okay. Like, they're not going to be, like, the best, but they're not horrible for him, at least, right? You know, Favonius, like, energy ones are okay if you're lacking that for him. So, yeah, lots of options. Okay, so speaking of that, Favonius, Greatsword is one of the 4-star weapons coming up, and this is just a great standard placeholder for any Claymore character. Any of the Favonius series is going to be amazing, so it's not horrible to have, but just keep them on hand. Don't, like, fodder them all. Like, leave some, you know, for your 4 stars, basically. For the catalyst, I actually don't have it anymore, but there's an Eye of Perception, which is kind of a garbagey catalyst because it has a 50% chance of proccing the passive. I would just skip that altogether and fodder that. I've already foddered it many times. For the weapon, for the polearm, I don't have it, but it's the Wavebreaker's Fin. It's going to be basically, let me see if I have something to talk about. The Wavebreaker's Fin is going to be the same series as the Mountain's Moon, so I'm just putting that up there for the passive. I don't even own one myself because it's very hard to get these limited series weapons. But yeah, it will basically be a burst-focused weapon. So if you have it, that'd be great. I think that it's okay to have a Wavebreaker's Fin. I wouldn't mind it myself. I don't mind the fact that I have a Mountain's Moon. I only got one. I don't mind having that, you know? Like, they're just hard to get, you know? That's all. But yeah, I mean, the Wavebreaker's Fin is going to be amazing for many characters, especially burst-focused characters where you're going to make sure that you use them for their burst only. So, like, you know, I can see like a Shao or a Sino, you know, being like that. If, you know, some people have put it on a Raiden Shogun either as well, right? You know, I can totally see it, right? It works for a lot of characters. It also works for like Toma if you want to kit him out and make him more stronger, right? So I can see that, or even Rosaria. Of course, they have other options, but I'm just saying it's very flexible. Okay, moving along on the sword side, we're going to have the sacrificial sword. It's the best for Xingqiu. It can work for Kazuha on the screen as well, because his skill is very useful and can be used twice that way, up to twice. And yeah, it's a great sword overall. And some people don't have it apparently for their Xingqiu, so now's your chance. But I would say that it's a great weapon nonetheless. And if you have multiple versions of it, keep it, right? You know, keep it on hand. I have this other copy down here as well for a future potential character that I can give it to. Like 4 stars usually, right? And then lastly, the bows. We have the Favonius Warbow, which is a very standard weapon. You get one in the storyline by playing the game, but it's a very decent weapon, and you can slot it again to 4-star characters. Now, let's just round this up quickly. So from the weapon banner perspective, I'm gonna just say overall, it's a skip for me. And I think that it's a very niche weapon banner. Again, there's nothing from the 5 stars that you have to have. Like, you don't have to have the Red Horn. Yes, it'll make your Arataki Itto better, but let's just be clear here. If you don't need him to be that super high powered, or you don't even use him anymore like myself, then there's really no need. And the Tulaytullah's Remembrance, it's cool and all, but again, there are other options in the catalyst side. Even I myself, like I said, if I'm very lucky and get Wanderer tonight, I'll just give him this Widsith and take it off of Hazel, because I'm not even using Hazel now. And realistically, Hazel can probably just take this Blackcliff, right? You know, so like that's basically what my plan is, at least. Or I can either also take like Ningguang, my Ningguang's Lost Prayers, you know, and then she can take you know, the Dodo Coattails or like the Blackcliff instead or whatever, right? Like when you eventually you'll collect a lot of weapons like myself as you continue playing the game, and you'll have lots of options. So that's why I don't recommend pulling on the weapon banner unless you want to try your luck or you're near pity already. Of course, then do that. I'm not near pity, that's why I'm not wasting any wishes there. I don't even have that much, so I'm just gonna try my best and hope for the best and try to get Scaramouche. Anyway, good luck to all of you, and let me know what weapons you guys are pulling for, or if you're skipping this weapon banner, or if you're going for the characters instead. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much.